The hour is 7 p.m. Having arrived, I'll call to order this regular meeting of the Keene City Council. This meeting is being broadcast live on the City of Keene YouTube channel and on Spectrum Channel 1302. The video is also streamed on the city's website and is posted to the city website by the next business day, barring any technical difficulties. If you'd like to receive an electronic City Council packet to reference while viewing future broadcasts, please contact the City Clerk's office during regular business hours or go to the city's website and subscribe to the city meetings email list. The agenda is also accessible from any mobile device. Would the clerk please call the roll?
Brian J. Lake.
Here.
Michael J. Remy.
Here.
Gladys Johnson.
Here.
Michael Giacomo.
Here.
Randy L. Filio.
Here.
Robert C. Williams.
Here.
Philip M. Jones.
Present.
Andrew M. Madison.
Here.
Chrissy Roberts.
Here.
Raleigh C. Omerod.
Here.
Bettina A. Chadbourne.
Here.
Catherine I. Workman.
Here.
Mitchell H. Greenwald.
Here.
Kate M. Bosley.
Here.
Thomas F. Powers.
Here.
Thank you very much. Full house and in person tonight, which is nice. Councilor Remy, please lead us in the pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, just a couple of announcements. We got the next City Council workshop on the Downtown Infrastructure and Improvement Project. That's going to be on Wednesday, April 26th at 6 p.m. Public comment period will be at 7:30 p.m. and the workshop will conclude at 8:30 p.m., very similar in format to our last one. This workshop is replacing the normal MSFI committee meeting that would have occurred that evening. And just a reminder to counselors, you got an email about it, but we need you to contact the IT department, and they've changed how you will access your city email or the security related to your email. And so they need to assist you by installing a multi-factor authentication app on your cell phone. And so it can work with the new Office 365 upgrade. I did it today. It took 2 minutes. So it's pretty straightforward, but schedule a time or just drop into the help desk during regular business hours and they can help you there. Finally, the council will notice that our AV Tech has put a handy light down there that's illuminated right now. And that's just to tell us all that someone needs to unmute their microphone, because we sometimes need to be reminded to do that. While we may be able to hear each other in the room, the people at home or watching on the video will not. So that's a nice way to remind us of that. And with that, I would be looking to Councilor Powers for a motion on the minutes. Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the minutes from the March 16, 2023 regular meeting as printed.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion on the minutes? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Which brings us to our next item of business, which is a proclamation. And if Councilor Williams could maybe join me up front. Okay, so whereas the Friends of the Keene Public Library play an important role in supporting the City of Keene's library and the library staff in areas not funded by the city budget, and whereas the efforts of the Friends of the Keene Public Library include sponsorship of many enriching programs and special events open to the community, purchase of library equipment and furniture, and passes to the New England museums for use by individuals and families, as well as volunteer staffing to improve services. And whereas this year, the Friends are celebrating 40 years of book sales at the Keene Public Library. And whereas the semi-annual book sales at the Keene Public Library, sponsored by the Friends since 1983, have helped provide funding for many of these activities, with all purchases dictated by the wishes of the library staff. And whereas the spring book sale to be held Friday, April 21st from 9 a.m. to 6 p.m., Saturday, April 22nd from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m., and Sunday, April 23rd from 9 a.m. to 2 p.m., and will allow the public to enjoy good quality used hardback and paperback titles at bargain prices. And whereas this year, Sunday, April 23rd, 2023, the Friends are offering a special sale on Bag Day, as it's called. Just buy a bag for $5 and fill it to the brim with all the books that it'll fit. Now therefore, be it resolved that I, George S. Hansel, Mayor of the City of Keene, do hereby proclaim April 21st through April 23rd, 2023, as Friends of the Keene Public Library Days, and do urge citizens of the Monadnock region to visit the spring book sale at the Keene Public Library in support of continued excellent library programs and facilities. In witness whereof, I hear and do set my hand in the official seal of the City of Keene this 20th day of April, 2023.
Thanks. I'm standing in here. I'm the liaison to the Library Board of Trustees from the City Council. And in that role, I've just been very impressed by all the things that the Friends of the Keene Public Library do. You know, they fund all the programs. It's really amazing. And one of the ways they fund the programs is through the book sale. And it's really an impressive book sale. I encourage everyone to get out. The dates were April 22nd, 23rd. It's a great opportunity to get some good books. I've got stacks of books that I've gotten out of there and recommend it to everybody.
Great, thank you, Councilor Williams. All right, next on our regular agenda is we have a nomination.
This evening, the mayor is nominating 2 alternates to the Human Rights Committee. They are Gina Burke and a Jennifer Nescamento, and both of those ladies will have a term to expire December 31, 2025.
And we'll table that to our next regular meeting. Number 2.
These are nominations from our previous meeting, and they include 3 alternates to the Bicycle Pedestrian Path Advisory Committee, a Samantha Jackson. That would be a term to expire December 31, 2025, as well as an Autumn Delacroix, again, December 31, 2025. To the Energy and Climate Committee, the mayor nominated, and you hope to confirm, a Roland Russell as an alternate, again, at December 31, 2025. And to the Planning Board, as a regular member, Ryan Clancy, December 31, 2025.
All right, and so for those confirmations, I'd be looking to Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to confirm the nominations as presented.
Second.
And we have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion? Seeing none, this does require a roll call vote. And will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes?
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Omerod?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And that is unanimous. Number 3.
This is a memorandum from the mayor, and it is in regard to the appointment of an ad hoc charter amendment committee that would be charged with reviewing Section 11, which is entitled Primaries of the Keene City Charter, in response to concerns relative to the provision of this section. And the appointment is for the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee to serve in this role.
And I'm looking to Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to confirm the nomination, the appointment as presented.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. And brings us to number 4.
Just a quick little memo from myself. I messed up on a few terms from our previous meeting and didn't notice that Deborah LeBlanc, who you confirmed to be on the official roster, I didn't realize that she really is filling an unexpired term. So December 31, 2023, and then the mayor will nominate her for another 3-year term. And also a Gerald Lenz, Partner City Committee. There actually was there was a vacancy in the regular member, and the board would like to see Mr. Lenz serve in that capacity. So we changed the official roster to show him as a regular member. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll accept that and file it as informational, which brings us to communications, number 1.
We have a request from the Keene Family YMCA. They're looking for the full closure of Summit Road on June 4th. It is needed for a youth triathlon race that's scheduled for that day.
And this will be referred to the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee, number 2.
Our annual request from the Keene Swamp Bats, a request to discharge fireworks in connection with Independence Eve at Alumni Field which occurs right after a Swamp Bats game.
And this will also be referred to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee. Number 3.
And our annual request from Pathways for Keene, it is a request for their 4 on the 4th road race.
And we are filling up that PLD agenda, and this will also be referred to Planning Licenses and Development. Number 4.
Fireworks Restaurant is looking to serve alcohol. That's been a change of ownership. They have previously had this type of license, but whenever, our code requires that whenever there's a change in ownership for that first year, they need to actually come to the council. And so Mr. Barabee, on behalf of Fireworks Restaurant, is seeking permission to serve alcohol at their cafe.
And this will be referred to the Planning Licenses and Development Committee, which brings us to Council Committee reports. Number 1.
Sorry, my packet got out of order somehow. Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report relative to a removal of a tree on Marlborough Street. On a vote of 5-0, the Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee recommends granting the request of Randall Walter to remove the tree in front of 310 Marlborough Street at his expense.
Councilor Greenwald for a motion, Councilor Filio for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
And we have a motion from Councilor Greenwald, second by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
Thank you. We had a request from the owner of 310 Marlborough Street to remove a tree and an offer to replant a tree. So after a bit of discussion, we agreed it's a good thing to do. He's offering to do this at his own expense. And definite appreciation and kudos to the owner for a great project that's going on out there. So I hope that you'll support this tree replanting. Thank you.
Is there any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? It's unanimous. Number 2.
This is an informational report from Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure. They heard a presentation on infrastructure planning and the CIP process.
And this will be filed as informational. Number 3.
Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report relative to the George Street Bridge implement proposed design. On a vote of 5-0, the Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to implement the George Street Bridge replacement project with an alternative bridge rail design to maintain the rural character of this neighborhood.
Councilor Filio for a motion, Councilor Greenwald for a motion, Councilor Filio for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
We had a presentation, the residents of the George Street neighborhood came out and spoke to us. There's about to be a replacement of the bridge. They are asking for a more subdued guardrail situation. So in the interest of clarifying what the committee was requesting, because basically this is what we were saying, that let the city manager and public works director negotiate with the DOT, that we really don't need guardrails and all kinds of really intense things for basically a neighborhood bridge. So in addition to the recommended motion that you have there, I would move to amend the report to add the phrase, "if such alternate design is approved by the state," at the end of the motion, such that the motion would read, "The city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to implement the George Street Bridge replacement project with an alternate bridge rail design to maintain the rural character of the neighborhood if such alternate design is approved by the state."
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Filio, motion by Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio on an amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous, which brings us back to the main motion on the amended committee recommendation. Any discussion on that? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 4.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to a hazard mitigation assistance grant. On a vote of 4-0, the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to accept, execute, and expend a hazard mitigation assistance grant in the amount of $16,667 from the New Hampshire Department of Safety Division of Homeland Security and Emergency Management for the updating of the city's hazard mitigation plan.
Councilor Remy for a motion, Councilor Powers for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the committee report.
Second.
We have a motion by Councilor Remy, seconded by Councilor Powers. Councilor Remy.
Thank you. So every 5 years, we're required to update the hazard mitigation plan. This is to accept a grant to help offset those costs. So this is about $16,000, just over, to help pay for the update of that plan.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 5.
Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee report relative to the Transportation Heritage Trail Phase 1 project agreement. On a vote of 4-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a project agreement, along with future amendments with the New Hampshire Department of Transportation to implement Phase 1 of the Transportation Heritage Trail project.
Counselor Remy for a motion, Counselor Powers for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the report.
Second?
We have a motion by Counselor Remy, seconded by Counselor Powers. Counselor Remy.
Thank you. So this one's a little bit more complicated. I'll try to get it as close to right as possible, and I might need a little bit of a tune-up, but I think I'm good here. So there are 2 pieces of funding that are coming to us, and as part of the that process, we need to reach agreements with the state on how that exactly will be handled. This first approval is for the money that's coming from the TAP grants. There's a second piece that is likely to be coming down the road, which is the federally directed funds from Congresswoman Custer's office. Those funds will be coming down at a later date. The ability to negotiate future amendments is to allow us to receive those funds at that time without coming back through council.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 6.
Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee report relative to a memorandum of understanding with the Keene Dog Park, Inc. On a vote of 4-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the city manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding with the Keene Dog Park, Inc. for the purpose of building and maintaining a dog park in Wheelock Park.
I'm looking to Counselor Remy for a motion. Counselor Powers for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the report.
And on second?
We have a motion from Counselor Remy, seconded by Counselor Powers. Counselor Remy.
So the next 2 are very similar. So this is to allow the city manager to negotiate an MOU with the Keene Dog Park Group. So they're ready to get to that point of negotiation. There's some finer points still being figured out as of the time we were voting on this, of exactly what that agreement would look like. We're going to get a copy of that when it's ready to go, so we know what's in there. The intent of it is to be cost neutral to the city and to have stipulations in there that require long-term maintenance to be on the organization. It'll be very similar for the next one.
Any discussion? Yes, Counselor Jones.
Thank you, Your Honor. Well, first of all, congratulations to both these organizations, this one and the next one, for actually raising money, not just coming to us and saying we want. They say, we're raising the money, we want to build. I did have my reservations from the very beginning about the location. I think that ship has already sailed, so I will be voting for this. But congratulations to them, and I'm just sorry to see that it's going where it's going.
Further discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Let's see, that would be number 7.
Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee report relative to a memorandum of understanding with the Keene Disc Golf Club. On a vote of 4-0, the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee recommends the manager be authorized to do all things necessary to negotiate and execute a memorandum of understanding with the Keene Disc Golf Club for the purpose of building and maintaining a 9-hole disc golf course in Wheelock Park.
Counselor Remy for a motion. Counselor Powers for a second, please.
Move to carry out the intent of the report.
Second?
We have a motion from Counselor Remy, seconded by Counselor Powers. Counselor Remy.
As I said, this is very similar. This is to allow the city manager to negotiate an MOU with the disc golf club. Again, the intent is to be cost neutral to the city. There's maintenance that we have to do within the parks anyway. That maintenance would still be a city expense, just like it would be anywhere else in the park. But largely, this would be intended to be cost neutral.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? And that is unanimous. So we have number 8.
This is an informational report on the opioid grant application for the Keene Police Department social worker.
All right, that will be filed as informational. And City Manager.
Thanks. Lots of updates for you this evening. The Community Power Program is set to begin in June. And I did share some information recently about that, and we're starting to get some questions. So prior to the start of the program, we are conducting a notification and education process to make residents and businesses aware of their options. So the first piece of that is on April 10th. A postcard announcing the upcoming program will arrive to any customer eligible for automatic enrollment. April 15th is the start of the 30-day customer consideration period. A detailed customer notification letter will arrive to all electricity customers, informing them of the upcoming program and its pricing. It also informs them how to choose a different option. If eligible for automatic enrollment, how to opt out. There are two versions of the letter. One for those that will be automatically enrolled, and another for those that must elect to join. The customer notification letter for automatic enrollment will contain instructions to opt out before the program begins. Those customers can opt out via a postage-paid mailer included with the letter, calling the supplier, or using the online form. And the reason for the two options is because there are some individuals who have already purchased their electricity through a third party, and they're under an agreement, and so they would get the other letter, which would explain to them if they wanted to join, the steps for them to do that, and then it would be on them to know the terms of their agreement, whether or not there's any penalty for getting out of the agreement that they currently have. April 25th is the first community meeting we'll be holding to provide an overview of the program and answer questions. This meeting will take place on the 25th at 6 p.m. at the Keene Public Library. On May 2nd, we'll have a second community meeting, which will take place at 6 p.m. virtually or at City Hall, Council Chambers, second floor. And these are required when you begin a program like this. There are two public education sessions that are required when you're beginning the rollout, and so this is part of that process. May 15th is the end of the 30-day consideration period. Any customers that opt out by this deadline will not be enrolled in the program. And so a couple questions I've seen is, does this apply to commercial businesses? Yes. If many of our commercial businesses are already with third-party suppliers, but it does apply to them if they choose to enroll. And it also applies to anyone. It could be someone renting an apartment. Anyone with a utility bill right now has the option and will be automatically enrolled if they are currently not with a third-party supplier and do not opt out. So I also wanted to give a body-worn camera update this evening. It's been a while since we talked about that. Last week, I executed the contract for the body-worn camera program and the in-car video program. Navigating the process to access these funds from the Congressionally Directed Spending Award took a great deal of time to sort out. I mean, this was one of the first awards in the first round. And there was a lot of back and forth as to how the money was going to be given to municipalities. And now that we have gone through all of that, we have executed the contract. We were very fortunate to receive the $415,000 of congressionally directed funds, along with a state grant of $50,000. This offset almost entirely the first 5 years of the rollout of this program. So that was, a huge savings and worth the effort and the time it took to navigate that. The contract we executed is for 44 body-worn cameras and 16 in-car video systems, totaling $445,000. We also have training in the amount of just under $14,000 and support just over $24,000, some additional support equipment. So that's $484,000. So you can see, we offset almost all of that with the grant funds. We are currently working to modify uniforms, and we will be working with the vendor on delivery and trainings. So I asked the chief for a very preliminary schedule because People are anxious. When does this mean we're going to be seeing these cameras on officers? So the contract guarantees installation within 45 to 60 days from the date we signed. So we signed last week, end of March. They provide a basic level of training around the time they provide the equipment, and we would piggyback on our own training around policies and law. So assuming no issues with getting uniforms back, we should be up and running by early to mid-June, but I'll keep you posted when we do get ready to begin. Most of you probably saw, but Pat Russell Park reconstruction is here again, the completion of that project. And we are, this spring, we have some work on a concrete sidewalk and plaza installation of a bathroom, a restroom building, final pavement course of the walking path, parking lot, and on-street parallel parking spaces. We'll be doing pavement markings, final topsoil leveling and grass establishment, invasive species removal along Beaver Brook, and placement of benches, picnic tables, and trash cans. So it'll be exciting spring to finish that project. We also are getting close to wrapping up the housing study that we've been working on. Community Development Department is holding an open house on April 20th from 3:30 to 5:30 at the Hannah Grimes Center to gather public input on the housing strategies that are proposed in this report. This is part of the 6-month effort to develop a comprehensive housing assessment that articulates our current and future housing needs. The proposed strategies in the report include a variety of actions the city could take, and the public input process will help us prioritize strategies to put forward to the council. There's a link to the housing needs analysis report on the city's website. It's on the community development page if you haven't gotten a chance to take a look at it yet. Community Development will be presenting to the City Council the results of this work at your April 20th meeting, so your next meeting. You can expect to hear from them. So our city brand is launching, and you probably noticed our new email signature block. If you're getting emails from me and from anyone else in the city, we've all moved, or we're in the process of all moving to using the new mark. I think it looks great, by the way. And we are also incorporating the new mark in our communications. So you probably saw some of these press releases and announcements that we've put out. We've been incorporating the new logo. We are planning to slowly make changes throughout the organization. There's lots of things that we need to do to switch over to this new logo, and it obviously can't be done all at once. So we will move through the process. Next, I wanted to tell you about a bit of an exciting project that's coming our way. It's a wayfinding temporary signage, a sidewalk marking project. Public Works has been working with Arts Alive and Keene State College on a project which involves placing a temporary, and it's wheat paste, elm tree mural on either the Colonial or the showroom. So they're going to put a wheat paste mural on, don't think they've decided which building yet. It will have instructions to find missing leaves. So we'll have the tree, and then it'll say, find the missing leaves. And leaves will be placed on the sidewalk in front of each identified arts destination. So throughout the city, it's sort of like a scavenger hunt, but it's sort of like a wayfinding. These are temporary in nature. We expect they will last for only one season, so get out there and check them out this season. And this is a fun wayfinding project to bring greater awareness to all the wonderful art locations in our community. And I want to thank the Public Works, because the Public Works Director for working with this group to make this happen. It's outside of the box, it's creative, and he really helped them to get to the finish line for this, and I think it's a great project. Next, I just wanted to let you know I have asked Beth Fox to cover for me at your next council meeting. I'm hoping to attend a University System Board of Trustees event on the same night, April 20th, and it's at the same time, to support Keene State College and the partnerships we've been able to create that continue to benefit both the city and the college. It's important that they hear about the great relationship that we have with the college. And then lastly, I will be participating on a couple of upcoming panels about community power and green energy projects. The first one's on April 18th, and it's hosted by Plan New Hampshire, and then one on May 1st as part of New Hampshire Energy Week. So really great stuff.
Thank you very much. And I'll just say one thing about the community power, because I was looking at it yesterday, and the rate that the city was able to negotiate is really pretty impressive, because even when you look at the entire list that is approved and the offers right now that are approved for residential ratepayers, it's about the best possible one you can get is about the same as the one that the city negotiated for all of the residents, and they won't have to do anything to get that rate. So, and you compare that to the PSNH regular rate, it's like nearly double. So it's a pretty good savings that people can expect with this community power program. Which brings us back to our regular agenda, and we have 2 resignations which we'll take together if there isn't an objection.
And they came in through an email, They came in through email, so staff liaison prepared memos, and the first one would be from Lena Cridlow. Lena has been a member of the Partner City Committee since April of 2021, and has unfortunately needed to resign her membership. And the second one is from Sean Filio, who's been a member of the Human Rights Committee since February of 2020.
Looking at Councilor Powers for motion, Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to accept the resignations with regret and appreciation for the service they have provided the city.
Second.
And we have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 3.
We have a memorandum from the city assessor that is submitting for the council's consideration a 79E Community Revitalization Tax Relief application for 310 Marlborough Street. And at part of this regulatory process is a public hearing that needs to be scheduled.
This will be referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee, and I will set the public hearing for Thursday, April 20th at 7 p.m. And that brings us to number 4.
And this is a memorandum from the Parks, Recreation, and Facilities Director. It is in regard to a grant from Invest New Hampshire, and it would be for the demolition of a structure at 160 Water Street.
And this is time sensitive, so we'll have to suspend our rules to act on this tonight, and I'd be looking to Councilor Powers for a motion, and Councilor Bosley for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I move to suspend Section 26 of the Rules of Order to allow action upon the time-sensitive grant.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Bosley. Any discussion on suspending the rules? Seeing none, this does require a roll call, and I'd ask the clerk to please call the roll.
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Ormerod?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yes.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
And the rules are suspended. And I'm looking at Councilor Powers for a motion. Councilor Remy for a second, please.
I thank you, Your Honor. I move to recommend that the city manager be authorized to execute the submission of the application for Invest New Hampshire Municipal Demolition Grant for the purposes of removing the Findings Incorporated building at 160 Water Street.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Powers, seconded by Councilor Remy. Councilor Powers, do you want to address this, or do you want the city manager? City manager.
Sure, thanks. So this Invest New Hampshire grant is a demolition grant that's available to municipalities up to $500,000. The one that we are applying for is for $130,000, and it's based on an estimate for demolition of the former Findings building. And we applied for this grant several months ago, and we have been asking what's happening with our grant, because obviously we're getting ready to do work in this location for the skate park, and it would be great if we could coordinate some of this effort. So we did get a response back from the state, and they said in order to move us to the next step, I need this certificate of vote. And it is time sensitive because they're running out of demolition funds at the state. So it's kind of first come, first serve, and even though we were in there for a while, they are getting close in terms of using up all those funds. I will need to come back and accept the funds, so it'll still go the normal process if it's awarded, but this is what's needed to get us to the next step.
Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? And that is unanimous. Which brings us to board and commission reports, number 1.
This is a report from the Community Development Department relative to Ordinance O 2023-02. This is the ordinance that would adjust minimum lot sizes in the rural district. And after the planning board found that the ordinance was consistent with the city's comprehensive master plan, there was a motion and vote from the Planning, License, and Development Committee asking that the mayor set a public hearing on the ordinance.
And I will set a public hearing on this for Thursday, May 4th at 7 p.m. We have one item that is there for more time, and more time will be granted, which brings us to ordinances for first reading, number 1.
This is an ordinance coming from on behalf of the Community Development Department and specifically the Planning Board. It is the adoption of Planning Board subdivision regulations, which have now been codified within the Land Development Code. And it is Ordinance O 2023-08, an ordinance relating to amendments to the Planning Board subdivision regulations.
And this will be referred to the Planning, Licenses, and Development Committee, number 2.
This is a memorandum from the Human Resources Director, and it is an adjustment to the class allocation and salary schedule. And it is Ordinance O 2023-09, an ordinance relating to class allocation and salary schedule.
This will be referred to the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee, number 3.
Second memorandum from the Human Resources Director, this one dealing with personnel systems and procedures. And it is Ordinance O 2023-10, an ordinance relating to personnel systems and procedures.
This will be referred to the Finance, Organization, and Personnel Committee. Ordinances for second reading, number 1.
Municipal Services Facility and Infrastructure Committee report on Ordinance O 2023-04. The committee is recommending the adoption of the ordinance.
We'll file the memorandum, and Councilor Greenwald for a motion, Councilor Filio for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. Move for the adoption of ordinance 2023-04.
Second.
We have a motion from Councilor Greenwald, seconded by Councilor Filio. Councilor Greenwald.
You got it, okay. Mr. Bohannon brought us this information. It's largely a housekeeping issue. This is an opportunity that revokes and replaces a lot of outdated language in the ordinance that had been around since 2003. It brings about the topic of city unimproved land, which is then going to be directed to the Public Works Director. It defines everything a little more clearly than previously, does a good job of changing and updating different uses. One of the big things that maybe sparked this was the idea of non-smoking in parks. Well, that will have to wait a bit. There will be resolutions coming dealing with that. Because dealing with the parks and also Central Square and Railroad Square is a whole different issue. So MSFI heard this, thinks it's a good idea, and hope that you will vote for it. Thank you.
Any discussion? Seeing none, this does require a roll call vote, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Counselor Lake?
Yes.
Counselor Remy?
Yes.
Counselor Johnson?
Yes.
Counselor Giacomo?
Yes.
Counselor Filio?
Yes.
And Counselor Williams?
Yes.
Counselor Jones?
Yes.
Counselor Madison?
Yes.
Counselor Roberts?
Yes.
Counselor Ormerod?
Yes.
Counselor Chadbourne?
Yes.
And Counselor Workman?
Yes.
Counselor Greenwald?
Yep.
Counselor Bosley?
Yes.
Counselor Powers?
Yes.
That is unanimous. And we have resolutions, number 1.
The memorandum from the Human Resources Director along with Resolution R 2023-17, A resolution in appreciation of Susan N. Hansmeyer upon her retirement.
Counselor Powers for a motion, Counselor Rosalie for a second, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. I would move for the adoption of Resolution 2023-17.
Second.
From Counselor Powers, seconded by Counselor Rosalie. Counselor Powers.
She retires tomorrow morning. So if you have any books that are due at the library, get them over there. Court, she wants you to return those books from the library at Norwich. I don't know how many folks have been in the library and worked with Susan, but she's just a peach of a woman. But yet she's still got a little bit of that old school librarian in her. She has done a lot of work for the city of Keene over the last 28 years. She's moved that library twice. She's moved our kids through there. She's supervised my wife, not an easy task. Just a great library, great people, and it's really too bad that she's retiring, but she deserves it. She spent a little more than 28 years. She came here, she's a native of Vermont. She came down from Norwich, where she worked for a couple of years, and they've raised their family here, and they intend to be around, and the kids are here. So when you see her, I don't know if she'll come and talk to us here, but you see her on the street and you will congratulate her. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Powers. Any further comments? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous. Number 2.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report relative to Resolution R 2023-18. This comes from a finance report requesting that the manager draft the resolution, which is what you have in your packet. But the manager did also provide some further information, which is behind the FOP report.
Looking at, this will be referred to the Finance Organization and Personnel Committee. Number 3.
Finance Organization and Personnel Committee report on Resolution R 2023-10. It's dealing with the acceptance and appropriation of unanticipated highway revenue. It is Resolution R 2023-10, and the committee is recommending its adoption.
Looking to Counselor Remy for a motion. Counselor Powers for a second, please.
Move to adopt Resolution R 2023-10.
Second?
We have a motion from Counselor Remy, seconded by Counselor Powers. Counselor Remy.
Thank you. So this is similar to a few weeks ago. We got funding associated with bridges, and it was as a percentage of our total square footage of bridges versus the state. And we learned a fun fact that we had the second highest number of square footage of bridges behind the DOT. This one is same basic math problem. It's on square footage for your streets. So streets versus a percentage of the total streets in the state. We didn't have the same high percentage, but what I did learn through this is that Thompson Road, which is what we're going to talk about for this, has the steepest slope of any road in Keene. So these funds are designated, it's $414,152.19. That's our portion of the state funds to be used for this. They can't be used to supplant any other funds that were already planned. So these funds will be assigned to the Thompson Road project if we pass this resolution.
Thank you. Any discussion? Seeing none, are you ready for a vote? All those in favor? Opposed? That is unanimous, and that brings to an end our regular agenda. I want to thank you all for your time and attention tonight. There is no non-public, and we stand adjourned.